The Sacramento Regionals has just wrapped up this weekend, and oh my gosh, it was a doozy. It was actually really fun to watch this one. I watched the top four. I watched it actually earlier today. This is recording on a Monday for context reasons. But yeah, I managed to catch up on top four, and all those matches were like really cool to watch. They were very like fun and entertaining to watch, in my opinion. They were great. But yeah, so we're just going to run through obviously the top four and then the other teams that was, kind of interesting to us, or at least interesting to myself. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about, the regional that just happened. Let me know your favorite team. Let me know your favorite Pokemon right now in Regulation H. And we are going to go on with the number one team from this past weekend in Sacramento, ran by Carson Confa and also Marcus Dion, because they both literally ran exactly the same team, which was really funny. They also played in top four, which was actually it was a really cool game. It was a really cool game to see the mirror matchup. It was very nice. It was very interesting. But yeah, it was cool to see. And the team consisted of pretty much your standard heavy hitters. It was a pretty much ultra aggressive team with things like Electabuzz to help pivot, Talonflame with the Gale Wing support from Tailwind, which is always kind of great. And then you also have Pokemon like Incineroar, Indeedee, and Sneasel, and also Bloodmoon Ursaluna, which is also really cool. But yeah, the whole premise of this was that it was a genuinely ultra aggressive team. You had just complete and utter speed control in that aspect. Electabuzz with that taunt to shut down any Trick Room Pokemon that want to kind of set up. Electroweb to make sure everybody else is slower. You have the Unburdened Psychic Seed Sneasler paired up with the Indeedee to make sure that they are both completely and utterly blitzing everything on the field. You have the Indeedee with the Focus Sash, since Indeedee is not the most stable Pokemon on the field as well. Expanding Force, Helping Hand, Trip and Protect as well, just to make sure that it's got both supportive and offensive coverage as well, which is also really great. You do have the Bloodmoon Ursaluna with the Life Orb. We've seen this pretty much everywhere right now. Bloodmoon, Earth Power, Protect, Hyper Poise. It is literally your most standard set. Terra Normal as well. And the Sneasler was also kind of interesting. Again, like we said with the Psychic Seed, the Unburden boost as well, doubling its speed, basically making it the fastest thing on the freaking planet. Going into that Terra Dark means you get a boost off Throat Chop as well, which is really good, especially to Psychic Pokemon who like to hit Sneasler 4 times for super effective damage. So your Side Spam users like Choice Scarf Indeedee, which is kind of running around here and there. Also Hatterene and Trick Room and Gallade and all that type of stuff. So it literally helps you get a one-off away from Psychic types and just hits back with super hard, super effective Throat Chop, which is always very nice. And then Diaclaw, Close Combat, and Protect. Again, pretty much standard stuff that you see on Sneasler. Sometimes you see Throat Chop on it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you see, Coaching or Fake Out or, things like that. But in this case, it was the Throat Chop set, which pretty much gives it a very nice coverage in general, since as well, on top of countering Psychic types, you also counter Ghost types, since Ghost types do really well defensively against Sneasler. Going into Terra Dark now means you have a super crazy offensive offense against Ghost types as well, which is really cool. So it's a very nice typing to go for here. Like, it's amazing. It was an amazing thing. It was an amazing cool thing to see Sneasler get done in with. It was amazing. Incineroar, I can't really say much about Incineroar. It's pretty much been the same set for a while now. Safety Goggles, Terra Ghost to avoid fake out damage, knockoff Flare Blitz by a fake out Parting Shot. Pretty much standard set. This one hit pretty hard as well. This Incineroar hit really hard. I've been a fan of Talonflame as well. The Coco Cloak Talonflame has also been really interesting. Dual Wing Beat to hit Sneasler to get rid of that Focus Sash, because the last thing you want is to hit a super effective Brave Bird, lose out on your damage, or lose out on your HP, which means you lose out on your Gale Wings, and also Sneasler doesn't die in the process. So in this case, you have the Dual Wing Beat, which still gets the job done, but you still keep the Gale Wings because you don't lose any HP, which is very nice. Will-O-Wisp as well to get physical attackers as well as the Flare Blitz to get that fire coverage, which is really nice in case Incineroar is a bit too slow to get this covered. And of course the Indeedee as well, again, like we said before, Trick Room, just in case they don't manage to get it set up. So your Ursaluna, for example, if you want Ursaluna to kind of go through with it, or you want to counter Trick Room itself, you kind of have that kind of priority there to kind of get a Brave Bird, counteract it, or at least let it work in your favor if your opponent also does not or manages to set up Tailwind and you don't have Talonflame, for example. So it kind of makes a nice setup there. It's a very nice setup. It's a very nice rounded team, and it is super ultra aggressive. If I was to say watch any match, it would definitely be the mirror matchup between Carson and Marcus. Their matchup was absolutely amazing, and it really gives you a good idea on how to go off against this team. It is really fun, and it is really interesting. But we cannot talk about the first place, and I guess also third place, without talking about second place as well. And this team, normally we go through a section in these videos where it's like, oh, this was my favorite team in this tournament. This is a very, this is what got me, really excited to see this team, blah, blah, blah. Normally I keep that for the end, but in this case today, this was the team I was actually really excited to see. This team was actually really fun to watch. There was like so many times where things happened and I was like, oh, I literally just went like, oh my gosh, like it was so crazy. But yeah, so it's kind of a variant on the Torkoal team that we saw with LAIC, Torkoal setting up the Sun, Jumpluff being this absolutely blitzing speed demon with Sleep Powder and Encore and Tailwind. The Encore was a very nice touch though. Encore was a very, very nice touch because normally in the last time we saw Jumpluff, which was, I believe, LAIC, it would run manual Sunny Day, which means it could just set itself up whenever it wanted to as well. But in this case, it is the Encore instead, which is also very, very useful. And Leaf Storm just to get a nice bit of coverage because you never know when you need to fire out a grass type move. The Light Bulb Garchomp with the Terra Fairy. See, I have been saying for the longest time that Garchomp should be Terra Fairy. I have done it with my own Garchomp for a while now, and I've been saying Fairy Garchomp is coming up on the rise. I'm calling it now. Fairy Garchomp is literally here. It's so, so good. Don't know why everyone missed out on Terra Fairy Garchomp way beforehand. Stops you against T-Tar, stops you against Mirror Garchomps. It is so, so good. It's amazing. And then also the same standard moveset as well with the Light Bulb set. Dragon Claw, Stomping Tantrum, Earthquake, and Protect. The same standard stuff for Garchomp, but Terra Fairy Garchomp, get your stocks. Get your stocks on Terra Fairy Garchomp. I'm telling you, it is so, so good. It's so worth it. The Inject Pack Torkoal has been really fun to see, actually. It's been very interesting. Obviously, we've got the Overheat, Burning Jealousy, Helping Hand, and Protect. So again, it's a mixture of having both offense and support, which is very, very nice. Overheat, triggering the Eject Pack, forcing Torkoal to switch out. There is a counter to this, which we saw in a few matches here, which was bringing out the Incineroar straight away, because once any of your stats drop, Torkoal goes out. And that also includes Intimidate as well. So from turn 0, when Incineroar starts off Intimidate, Torkoal does set up Sun, yeah, sure, but he's immediately out. You can use that to your advantage, but again, it's very dependent on how you want the playstyle to go through. But it's sometimes it works, sometimes not so much, in my opinion, but here we go. The Loaded Dice Dragonite with the Multi-Scale. Ice Spinner was a very nice touch. There was a very, very good tech that Joseph did in one of the games, and it was going up against the Indeedee with the Psychic Terrain up, and both of them used Protect, but Dragonite needed to hit someone, so he hit his own Jumpluff, getting rid of Jumpluff, making sure Torkoal got a fresh switch in, and also clearing Indeedee's terrain at the same time was a very, very genius strat. I thought that was a very, very amazing strat. It was a big gamble. It was a very, very big gamble. I'm not going to say how that gamble paid off, but it was a huge gamble and a very, very smart strat. It was an amazing strat, and I did like to see that. That was pretty cool. We also had the King Gambit with the Assault Vest, as well as the Terra Flying. A lot of times we are seeing like Terra Flying on Torkoal, Terra Flying on King Gambit, Terra Fairy on Dragonite, Terra Fairy on Garchomp. So it's a cross between, it's a very big cross up between Terra Flying and Terra Fairy. But of course, Defiant, Assault Vest, King Gambit, which we've seen more of recently. And then also Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Assurance, and Low Kick. Assurance is also very interesting because normally, since King Gambit is always very slow, most of your team is going to hit it anyway, so King Gambit kind of just like sweeps up the dust, because Assurance, for anyone who does know, does extra damage if the target has already been hurt during that turn, which is amazing. So again, things like Flare Blitz, Assurance does more damage, their own Brave Bird does more damage, their own Life Orb does more damage, and then of course, since everybody here is faster than King Gambit, whatever move they're going to pull off, obviously besides Torkoal, whatever move they're going to pull off, that King Gambit Assurance is always going to do more damage, pretty much guaranteed, if you want to do a double up or something like Earthquake hits or anything like that, which is amazing. And then Low Kick as well, just for fighting type coverage, which can also come in really clutch. We've seen that work against other King Gambit, we've seen that against T-Tar, against Alcaladon, which is also really cool. So we've seen that a lot. Low Kick is obviously a very, very good fourth move to pick, so yeah, can't really complain. And then, of course, at last, we have the Hisuian Typhlosion with the Choice Spec set. Pairing that up with Jumpluff and Tailwind. Again, this thing is an absolute beast. It's pretty much the reverse of Torkoal, where instead of Torkoal needing Trick Room, Typhlosion just needs one Tailwind, and it will completely sweep with the game. Eruption, Shadow Ball, Heat Wave, and Overheat as well. Amazing set. Like, they were saying as well in the stream that he is the guy for Hisuian Typhlosion, and I do not blame them. He is really good with Hisuian Typhlosion. If you want to see someone use Hisuian Typhlosion to the fullest effect, definitely watch Joseph Ugate's team. He's very, very good with Hisuian Typhlosion. I also wanted to bring up the 4th place slot done by Akil Goel, which again was just a very, very good team. I thought it was very interesting. It was I only saw one game of his, and it was pretty cool to see it. Power Herb Stamina set with Alcaladon, which we're seeing more of right now. We're seeing more out of the Assault Vest set and going more into the Power Herb set, which is again very interesting. Protect, Draco, Flash Cannon, Electroshock, pretty much standard. Then we see the Amoonguss with the Rocky Helmet, which I think is again an amazing strat, especially against physical attackers. Shuts down that Sneasler Focus Sash that we keep seeing around all the time. Shuts down a lot of Focus Sash mons. It applies extra damage as well, which is also really cool. It's a really good set to go for here, and besides, it's the same set that you see in the Amoonguss. Protect, Rage Powder Spore, and Sludge Bomb. It's either Sludge Bomb or Pollen Puff, one of the two. That's kind of the set that you always see. So yeah, it's pretty standard. Corviknight, can't go without mentioning my boy Corvi. Citrus Berry Corviknight with the Mirror Armor as well, bouncing back any stat drop that happens. Again, I think this is such an underrated ability. I think this ability is so good. And honestly, if they ever do Gen 10, I need this to happen on more Pokemon. Mirror Armor is such a good ability. It needs to happen. The Terra Fire as well is also a nice touch as well. Brave Bird, Tailwind, Roost, and Taunt. It's a pretty much, it's more of the offensive side of Talonflame. I mean, not more offensive. It's more of the supportive side on Talonflame. With the offensive Brave Bird just to kind of boost that as well, which is also pretty nice as well. The Taunt is also a nice touch in my opinion. Incineroar Assault Vest, we've already mentioned that. Well, we already mentioned the Safety Goggles set, but of course with the Assault Vest, we've seen this before. Just swapping out Parting Shot with U-Turn, pretty much standard. Focus Sash Sneasler, which again, we've already seen. Stellar Terra, pretty much same set that we've seen for the most part. Fake Out, Coaching, Close Combat Diaclaw. Again, not really much to say. It's either Focus Sash Sneasler or one of the seeds with Sneasler. And then it's pretty much self-explanatory on what Sneasler does. Diaclaw, Close Combat, and the other two, you just click those buttons from time to time, and maybe you'll get something out of it. But most times it is Diaclaw, Close Combat. You just click one of those buttons, and you either one-shot or you get a status condition of Diaclaw. That's pretty much it. And then obviously Garchomp, Life Orb, which we've covered again, but this time going for the Terra Ground instead of Terra Fairy or Terra Fire or Steel. This time it's Terra Ground. You're doubling down on that super effective Earthquake, super effective Stomping Tantrum. You're doubling down, which is quite respectable, honestly. I can respect that. And then I kind of wanted to talk about the fact that Palafin came up in a top 8 after so long of being away, thanks to David Hunter, which was amazing, by the way. Yeah, the Palafin coming back was actually really cool. Going in a rain team, of course, instead of bringing in Archaludon, which we're used to, it's the Palafin now, which is quite nice. Choice Specside Dragon, which seemed kind of cool. Of course, Amoonguss, of course, Incineroar, Assault Vest. It seems like Incineroar Assault Vest is low-key coming back. I kind of want to see how this, you know, progresses in the meta. See if Incineroar kind of goes back to the Assault Vest set, which could be very, very interesting. I kind of want to see how that gets played out here. And of course, the Focus Sash Pelipod, which we've always seen. Terra Grass is quite interesting too. That way, you know, you're not really... Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's a quite interesting set. And then, of course, Protect, Weather Ball, Tailwind, Hurricane. Pretty much same standard set that we went through. It's pretty much the same standard set. Like, I can't really complain. Again, like we saw with the Amoonguss as well. Protect, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, or Sludge Bomb, 1 of the 2. And then Spore, of course. Terra Fairy is a nice defensive Terra for Amoonguss as well, which is quite nice. Again, can't really complain. It is a very, very nice, you know, solid team to go for. I'm just very excited and very happy that Palafin managed to score a top 8 of all things, which was really, really crazy with the Wave Crash, Jet Punch, Haze, and Protect as well. I'm a fan. I'm very much a fan. I think after this recording, I'm gonna try and see one of these games to see if I can catch Palafin on stream, and because that's really cool. That is very, very cool. But of course, as we wrap up the video, we're going to be talking about the top 12. And the first one that we're going to be talking about is the day 1 of course. So in day 1 of Sacramento, of course, Sneasler still running that top spot. I can't really complain. It's pretty much the same as what we saw before. The only difference that I'm seeing here is that Bloodmoon Ursaluna, is that both forms of Ursaluna, it's actually neck and neck in usage. Like only 0.2% out, which is kind of crazy to me. Like both of them do very, very well, and both of them have like such unique traits. Like Ursaluna, normal Ursaluna, always does well in Trick Room, and then Bloodmoon Ursaluna can kind of do well both in and out of Trick Room, depending on what you want the set to be, which I feel like is absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see both forms pop up in the top 12, which is quite nice. Maybe we're gonna see like a resurgence of Ursaluna a bit more, maybe potentially. Goldengo hitting number 2 because again, in my opinion, it is the best counter towards Sneasler. In my opinion, I think it's very good. It's a very good defensive and offensive Pokemon as well, which is just great. You've got the Choice Spec set, you've got the Nasty Plot set. There's a lot of ways to use Goldengo, and I think Goldengo is a very, very cool Pokemon to use. I'm personally using him right now. He's a fantastic Pokemon to use. Rillaboom and Incineroar, neck and neck again, only like 0.8% out of usage, which is quite nice. Again, pretty much the top 2 starters, of course. So it's quite nice to see as well. Dragonite being again the pseudo legendary choice, pretty much hasn't changed from last time. Rain being the same weather team that's the most used. Pelipper, Arc, and Basque Legion, not really changed. Same with the Amoonguss and King Gambit as well. I think the only one that's kind of gone neck and neck here are the Ursalunas, which is quite interesting in my opinion. And then going on to the day 2, again, Sneasler, Goldengo up at the top spot, like the top 2. Rillaboom kind of going a long way down. I'm not sure if this is because of the combat with Indeedee. I'm not exactly sure, or I'm not sure how exactly this plays out. Maybe we're just seeing a lot more grass types getting used. Like I'm seeing Amoonguss overtake Rillaboom as well, which is quite interesting. Dragonite getting used a lot more. Archaludon's, I think, in the same spot, which is quite weird. Wait, I think all the rain setters are in the same spot. I'm pretty sure. That's quite interesting. But yeah, going on to day 2 as well, Ursaluna is now way gone past Bloodmoon Ursaluna with like over 2% difference, which is quite interesting. So nice to know that regular Ursaluna is like kind of coming back in the tops, like in the top slot, being the more popular of the Ursalunas right now. Maybe Bloodmoon changes that at some point, you never know. Dragonite and Incineroar kind of racking up there in rankings right now as well. So again, Dragonite looking like it is the most used pseudo legendary because of things like Scale Shot and just how technical it can be, like Scale Shot with loaded dice, E-Speed, Haze. Obviously you've got like a whole bunch of good things that you can use for Dragonite as well. But yeah, it's kind of like a good stable top 12. I think there's not really an outshining factor here besides Sneasler, but I think eventually everyone's going to stop using Sneasler eventually, in my opinion. I'm not exactly sure when that eventually is, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be someone down the line that is going to suss out Sneasler and figure out the meta to it once and for all. Again, I just don't know how or when that's going to come through, but that's just my opinion anyway. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know by leaving a like down below. And again, let me know what your favorite Pokemon has been throughout Regulation H so far, and let me know what your favorite team has been, both in this tournament and for what you are using as well on your own. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, take care. See you later. Bye.